I did it. Got the garden planted and now it's starting to rain. Perfect timing. The rain was only supposed to start this evening, at least that was last evening's forecast, but it changed too much earlier today, and it's still going to continue raining throughout the night, which is perfect to get the garden nice and wet, because in a couple days it's going to be in the 80s. Today it's 48. The bugs are hiding and they're not out. So let me show you what I planted for this year and what my plans are. So like I mentioned before, I do want to try growing and selling cut flowers this year. So this very back row here where the marker is, I planted one row of sunflowers, and in a couple weeks I will plant another planting of the sunflower seeds right in front of those, so the taller ones will not overshadow the newer ones, and that way I'll have more of a continuous harvest. And in this corner here we have our rhubarb is bouncing back nicely, and I did sneak some echinacea in this corner here, see if we can get that established. We had it at our previous property and it's beautiful flowers and also has medicinal properties. And then I planted calendula all the way down this row here, and in my map, my garden planting map, I forgot that I wanted to plant some along that edge. So I ended up planting them some more in that far corner there. And then over here, I planted some peas, and a lot of these, most of these rows are going to get covered with some netting until the plants are established so the birds and the animals don't get to them. So I will be putting some trellises here for the peas. And then I've never grown kale before, but this is going to be red Russian kale, and I've never tried it, and Tim already has said that he doesn't want to try it, but anyway, he'll probably try a bite. If we don't like it, the chickens are going to love it. So I just put a little section of kale there, and then we have some lettuce here, and I only planted half of this bed. And this section here is going to be like for a succession planting of more lettuce, just to kind of stagger the planting. And in this next row here, I planted some pole beans. These are yellow beans. That's what we prefer. And again, these will get covered, and then I'll put some trellises after they start getting bigger. And over here, I planted some bush beans. And these are also going to be yellow beans, and I labeled this area as empty mainly because I don't want to be watering this area for nothing, and I don't want to, I probably forget that I didn't plant something here. So again, this will be like in a couple weeks I'll plant another succession of the bush beans. Back there we have our hosta plant that is doing very well, and I did plant some chamomile here, so hopefully that will get established this year. And this is going to be the future home of our tomato plants that we have inside right now, and we're hardening them off, but it's still in the 40s at night, and I don't think they would like that very much, so we're going to wait before we actually plant the tomatoes. And here we have our carrots. Our carrots actually did pretty well considering they were planted in rocky ground last year. So hopefully they will do better this year. And this is our pretty large cucumber patch. I'm going to try trellising the cucumber plants this year. Let me know if you have tried that and how it has worked for you. from what I have been reading, it's a better way to grow them as far as for pest control and avoiding diseases. So we're going to give that a try, and that way I feel like I can grow more in a smaller space. And in this rocked-in area, we have, this is supposed to be our asparagus patch. I'm not seeing any growth yet. And this is just extra dirt and, of course, rocks that we got to get rid of to kind of fill them in as they grow, if they do grow. And in between, so at the end, we have strawberry plants. At the very end, there's nothing there. I'm hoping to come across like a good clearance deal type of thing for strawberry plants. We did see some at Tractor Supply, but they were like $9 for one plant, and I don't want to pay that much. So I'm gonna hold out on that, but that's what that space is reserved for. And so in the middle here, there's nothing growing, so I've reserved it for our pepper plants that we have inside, and again waiting for warmer weather to bring them outside permanently. Okay, so this bottom section is our cut flower garden section, and we do have a spot for a squash at the end. So this is the first year I am growing cut flowers and actually growing flowers that from seed. Usually I buy them already going. I didn't label it, but I did plant some dill at the very end of the row to help with pests, and I want to have some on hand in case I do have enough cucumbers. All the cucumbers we're growing are pickling cucumbers, so I do want to have enough dill to make dill cucumbers. And next to that, I planted some cosmos and some straw flowers, which if they don't sell, then you can dry them and sell them in dried arrangements, which I thought was nice, a nice option. And also we have some snapdragon, the butterfly variety, which I do have some started inside, but they don't seem to be doing that well. They're just kind of struggling. So they're still growing, but we'll bring them outside and maybe add them to this patch once it's warmer. And do have some zinnias, a couple varieties of zinnias, and another empty spot here in the garden, probably for another planting of zinnias. We'll see. We'll see how the rest of the garden grows, and we may need to do something else with this space. And this is our space reserved for this variety of squash, winter squash, summer squash. I'm just waiting a couple weeks because we always have an issue with the vine borer moth laying their eggs on the plants and just killing our squash plants. So I'm hoping that once the moth comes around, our squash will not be flowering yet, and so we won't be attracted to them because there's no flowers. But I also plan on keeping them covered, I think, for a good portion of the summer to also avoid the vine borer moth making her visits. And this is our other little calendula patch. I'm really happy to get this in the ground. Today is Sunday of Memorial Day weekend, and typically the time that we are able to plant and not expecting any more frosts. But we've had a very cold spring, so I'm definitely keeping an eye on the temperatures. And before, like I said, bringing those tomato plants out and the green pepper plants out. But by the time these seeds germinate, we should be beyond that window, we're hoping, of any more brutal cold nights. I want to know what you're growing in your garden this year. I hope you're growing one. This is always a learning process. The flowers are definitely going to be a learning process for me this year, and definitely pushing to grow more produce because I definitely want to preserve especially some beans and maybe some pickles and get those on the shelf that we can enjoy through the winter and into the spring. I'm also going to be, Tim is working on our greenhouse, so some of the tomato plants, pepper plants, I'll be growing in there in pots and getting to learn that process as well as far as growing in a greenhouse. And I also want to get some herbs established in there that I've had a hard time growing in the past. So, got a lot of projects going on. Now that this is established, we're hoping to get a good soaking in the next 24 hours. And because right now don't have a watering system set up, but we do have our well here that gives us a great water supply. Tim's just got so much on his plate right now, and eventually he will get up to setting up a pump up here with a solar power and a battery. I want to thank you for joining me today. Please like and share this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, we would love it if you would join us on our journey as we build our off-grid homestead. We'll see you next time. Bye.
I'll keep praying to heaven and fighting like hell.